So today is about great determination and just continuing the trend of geekiness because I feel like I've made some Star Wars or Marvel reference or something of that nature in each of the last 2 weeks. I was going to show a clip from Doctor Strange, and now I'm deciding against it. But I wanted to at least tell you that I was going to embarrass myself in that way, just so you know that that's where my head and my heart is at. I was going to show the clip where he's facing that big monster, and the only ability that he has is to keep going in over and over, and suffering these excruciating ends of his life at the fate of this monster. And the only power that he has over this evil villain is that he can just keep replaying the situation, which is endlessly frustrating for this villain to have to be stuck in this time loop. And he says something to the effect of, what does he say? The evil monster says, "You can't win," and he says, "That's true, but I can just come back over and over and over again, and at some point you'll realize that actually I'm the one who's in control here." And so that always has been really powerful for me in terms of thinking about great determination, and it relates to what we're going to talk about today. It's not exactly the same thing. I think normally when we think about the word determination, we think in this kind of white knuckle kind of way of like really clenching your fist and gritting your teeth and getting through it. And at least that's what comes to mind for me when I first hear great determination. And that determination makes sense if we're really focused on something that we're going for that's kind of out of reach for us. So we have this kind of determination that we might normally think about as we're going for something down the line, feels out of reach, and we're just gripping as hard as we can for it or gritting our teeth. But if our practice is to remember over and over again that what we need is already right here, and indeed that what we are is right here, and just to remember that over and over, then determination might have to mean something different. That kind of gritting your teeth type of determination doesn't work so well if all that we need to do is just relax into the moment and realize that we're actually right here, that we are right here. That's what we are. So pointing to this, there's one of my favorite quotes of all time, which hopefully will intuitively make sense to all of us in our experience. It's from the third Zen ancestor, and it's translated, this was in 6th century China that this was transcribed. And it's translated to something more or less that says, when you try to stop activity in order to achieve passivity or relaxation, your very effort fills you with more activity. So see if that makes sense to you for a moment, just reflecting on that. When you try to stop activity in order to achieve passivity, your very effort fills you with more activity. So it's like, if you think about it and you're like, I just want to be relaxed all of a sudden, I just want to go to sleep. Damn it, why isn't this working? It doesn't typically work that well. At least that's the case in my experience. So we know that kind of determination is probably not what we're going for here. So what is this kind of determination that we're looking for? Well, for me it lies in another quote, and I just love these quotes, so please oblige me, and I'm sorry that you have to keep listening to these Zen quotes, but here's another Zen quote from the 17th century, much more recent. A Japanese ancestor by the name of Hakuin Ekaku, and he says, something that might sound a little quizzical at first. What he says is, bitterness nurtures the heart. Bitterness nurtures the heart. So that is totally not something that we normally think of in our kind of normal mind. Normally we think, well, bitterness nurtures more bitterness, perhaps, or bitterness nurtures grumpiness, or bitterness nurtures a bad day. And certainly bitterness can nurture all of those things. But this is, I think, where this great determination comes in. So at this point in our practice, we talked about great faith one week, and great faith we can think of as our capacity to remember. It's a kind of remembering that there's something much larger than us that is sometimes in our experience and sometimes not part of our experience. But it's a remembering that it's there. And we have this great doubt that Doug so beautifully spoke to, which is a kind of way of releasing our small mind into something that's much larger. It's a way of saying, being less certain that we actually fully understand what's going on, so that we can have a mind that can embrace all of our circumstances and beyond our circumstances. And so that's the great doubt. So we have this faithfully doubting mind now. And what happens with great determination is what happens when this great faith and this great doubt meet hardship, when they meet bitterness. And of course, we all in our own daily lives encounter bitterness of many different flavors, if not by diabetes, then by some other means. I think a lot of you know that I've been recovering from dengue fever recently, which has been my own recent flavor of bitterness. And it's been not very fun, certainly. I haven't even really been able to collect my mind or hold my body enough to really practice for most of the last week. And I will admit to last week during our session, I was physically propping myself up like this. You can't see what I'm doing with my hands, but I'm actually holding myself up with my hands. That's what I was doing last week. And this is familiar for all of us. It might be diabetes. It might be some other part of our life which is difficult. We don't need excuses to have uncomfortable experiences. It's quite familiar to all of us. We're taught traditionally that the human condition involves some pretty major unavoidable types of suffering for us. The classically listed ones are birth, sickness, old age, death. And we all know sickness at the very least quite well. So the question then is, what's the difference between a bitter person with diabetes and a person who's deeply nurtured with diabetes? And that's what great determination is about. Great determination is this commitment to recognizing that this immense heart that we have, however much it might hurt at one moment or another moment, that it can't be broken. That's this great determination. It's a true willingness to fully taste the bitterness of life, and to accept the pain that comes with being alive, and really the unfairness of our condition at times. And through the magic of this great determination, which is the function of our heart, to transmute that into a kind of wisdom. The bitterness is then a seed of wisdom, if we can nourish it with the determination of our heart. So, with that, let's practice. And I will say also, that's a painful process. Uh, it's a painful commitment, and sometimes it's beyond our reach. Sometimes it's too much to metabolize whatever pain or bitterness or suffering, or discomfort we're going through at a given moment. And we have to be wise in those moments too, of knowing when this is something we can handle and when it's something that we need to put aside and watch the most recent episode of Obi-Wan to deal with our discomfort, and not, or to not deal with our discomfort at a given moment. But yes, this is the capacity we have at our fingertips, and this is hopefully what our practice allows us to do. There's a famous Leonard Cohen quote, which I think many of you probably know, that there's a crack in everything, and that this is how the light gets in. So each of these painful moments is an opportunity for us to actually allow more light in one way or another, and to decide what to do with that now that there is more light inside. Okay, I'm stepping off the pedestal. At least I'm stepping to a smaller pedestal where I don't talk, I just guide meditation. So let's do some practice. Invite everybody to just find a seat that'll be comfortable for you to practice for the next, let's say, 15 minutes. And you can feel free, I will of course have my camera on, many of us will, but you can also feel free to turn your camera off if that's nicer for you. Completely fine. And as feels comfortable, you can let your eyes come to rest. Just take a moment to listen to the sounds around your space, and you might be hearing the sounds around my space as well. Just resting a moment as these sounds come to meet your ear. You might notice the contour, the shape, the structure of your body. It's just getting a feel for the outline of your body. And within that, you can feel what's on top of or outside your skin, like your clothes, or if you're me, some sweat or a breeze. And you can feel what's happening underneath your skin as well. Movement of liquids, beating of your heart, a tensing and relaxing of muscles. From this place, let's bring our attention to the area around our heart. Just notice what can be felt around there for a moment. You might imagine that you can breathe directly into and out of this heart. As if you're bypassing your nose and throat and lungs, just breathing directly into the chest, into the heart, and out of the heart. Conjure up or settle into a feeling of friendliness that might emerge around this area of the heart. If it helps, you can imagine a friend who helps you feel at home, just imagining such a person. As you breathe, you might welcome this into the heart, inhaling. As you exhale, might allow it to pleasantly settle, circulate throughout the body. As the thoughts might pull at you to attend to something else, you can just be friendly towards them and remind them you'll come back at another time. But notice that they're happening probably more in your head than in your heart. And be resolute in your commitment to stay in this heart area. Now, if it feels appropriate and safe for you right now, call to mind something that's been difficult for you personally recently. And as you inhale now, fully welcome this bitterness into the heart, into our experience of our body. Inhaling and allowing this difficulty to actually enter into our experience, into our body. So this on the inhale. As we get the hang of inhaling and just allowing this to be difficult, whatever has been hard recently. Let's now exhale with the sincere wish that it gets better. The most genuine, heartfelt wish, exhaling straight from the heart. That this improves, that this difficulty is lessened. Inhaling, welcoming in the difficulty, exhaling with the sincere, heartfelt wish that it gets better. Just breath after breath. One inhale, one exhale. One welcoming and one sincere, heartfelt wish that it improves. Now, into this experience, recognize for a moment that there are other people who are having a very similar struggle. And as you inhale, inhale for them too. Inhaling this larger bitterness that many people like you are having to experience. But when you exhale, exhaling for them now too, as if your breath can touch all of these people. Inhaling the difficulty of all of you who have a similar experience, all of us. Exhaling with the sincere wish for all of us with a similar struggle. Noticing what that feels like on both inhale and exhale in the heart, in the head, and the whole body. Widening the circle now even further. Perhaps it's all people who are sick, or all people who are injured in some way, or all people who are having a relationship difficulty, whatever is the broader category you're experiencing, just breathing with it. Recognizing now how many human beings you're breathing for who share your experience. And without losing this feeling in your body, recognizing what it feels like to breathe in difficulty and to breathe out loving care. Expanding the circle even wider now, so it's complete with all people who know what it is to struggle, who know bitterness just by being living beings. Breathing in, recognizing that all of us on this call know what it is to struggle because we're alive. breathing for all of us and everyone else that's alive. No one is left out. One inhale, one exhale at a time. As feels appropriate, you can leave behind any intention to breathe in a special way or for anybody in particular, and just rest a moment, noticing what you're experiencing right now. Maybe you've spun off into thoughts. Maybe you're having an intense experience of emotion. Maybe you're not quite anywhere at all. Just noticing how it is, whatever it is now. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine. May I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Shantideva, 5th century India. As feels appropriate, you may close your practice with any heartfelt intention, anything that feels appropriate. Perhaps something you'd like to share, perhaps something you'd like to wish, perhaps something you'd like to remember. And as you begin to close your practice, taking your time to do so, I recommend first tuning into your ears, and then coming back to feel gravity pulling at you. And to take some bigger, deeper breaths. And make some small movements with your hands and face and feet. And if you have it in you, like I do, to viciously crack your neck. And when you're ready, you can come back the rest of the way.